This is Angela Grayson from the Loving Life Fitness podcast to help others in their fitness journey. All possible.
It's time to wake up. Here we go.
Well, hello, Stephanie. Hello, everybody. And we're coming at you from Loving Life Fitness today. I'm Angela Grayson. Stephanie, welcome to the show.
Hi, Angela. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
She is a health and wellness coach, and her website is essentialsoulcoaching.com. Stephanie is also a personal trainer. She is a published author, representative for doTERRA Wellness, which is a company with essential oils and many other products to help you on your wellness journey. Okay, Stephanie, let's go back. Let's go back to when you started on your fitness journey, not only with helping others, but maybe also yourself. Where did these interests start? How did you get involved in the business? Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. It's such an interesting story when you think about it, but it really goes back to my mom, ice cream, Weight Watchers in 2010. I had been struggling with my weight in what my opinion was all of my life. But I looked just like my mom. I looked just like my grandmother. So I was like, oh, we're just built that way. And in 2010, at 232 pounds, my body was very sore. I'm only 5'2", so that is a lot of weight to carry on a small frame. And I had tried so many diets. I was like, these just don't work for me. We were raising 3 children, and you can't live on diet food when the whole family's having pizza night. So my mom actually told me that she had started using Weight Watchers and she had lost like 30 pounds and she was still eating ice cream. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't work. I always thought that losing weight had to be calorie restriction. You had to eat celery. You had to drink tomato juice or like all of these crazy things. One of the biggest things that I knew in my mind was I had to restrict what I was eating. I had to give up things I didn't like. So I ended up losing quite a bit of weight on Weight Watchers. But what happened was when I hit my goal weight and then I stopped, over the next 10 years, I kind of put some of it back on. That was about the time that I decided to become a health coach. So in 2016, I've been working with a running coach and I just loved what she did. And I was very curious as to how she got started. So by having a conversation with her, I started researching running coach, and then health coach popped up along with being a life coach. So I did a little research and started finding a lot of information that made being healthy a far easier task. Made the decision to go back to school at the age of 42. I was working full time, 1 daughter in college, 2 still in high school, and I was going to school evenings, weekends, early mornings, late nights, like whatever time I could fit in my courses. But as I noticed, as I started taking these courses and studying and doing the research, I was hooked. The information was incredible. I was learning things that made so much sense, not only about food and nutrition, but about mindset and the body's innate ability to overcome and adapt what we've been teaching it all of our lives. So, the saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, not true. So fast forward to 2018, all 3 girls have graduated from high school and I've got a coaching practice, and I decided to quit my full-time job and go into coaching full-time. So I had given my boss like 2 years notice. I told him when I went back to school, I said, listen, this will be it. I will be leaving. So after 24 years in the car business, I packed it all up and decided to coach full-time. And that's taken me on its own journey. So even though I have not lost all of the weight that I wanted to, I'm now losing it in a way that feels much better. I still eat the food I love, but I understand now that my emotional eating was what triggered my weight regain. So I decided to really take a deep dive into why do we eat out of emotion instead of eating for hunger, and how our habits play such a large role in what we think are genetic problems. Typically, it's not genetic. More often than not, it's habit. So in 2020, when we all got to go home for a while, I took that opportunity to write and self-publish my first book called Unpack Your Emotional Eating. I decided to kind of just throw it out there and be like, hey, you're not broken. If you start noticing that you're eating at 9 o'clock at night just to unwind and relax, that isn't something that's wrong with you. That's just a coping mechanism you've developed over time in order to help you relieve stress. And that kind of led me to studying behaviors, the brain, and when I named the company Essential Soul Coaching, I wanted to incorporate mind, body, and soul. For me, it's so important that we nourish our mind, we think on purpose, we treat our bodies with respect, we put in what we want to get out, and this makes us happy and soulful and fulfilled. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what has led me down this road to want to help more women, specifically women, but I've worked with men as well, really understand that they can be the healthiest version of themselves without giving up everything that brings them joy.
Very good. Stephanie, you remind me of me going back to school at an age when most people are done with school, raising children. They're getting ready to go into college, and here we are going back to school, but for a very good reason, to go ahead and follow our hearts instead of just going to work every day to a job that, yeah, pays the bills and, serves a purpose. As we get older, I think we want more. We want more out of life. Also, to be able to help others, Stephanie. Everything that you went through, you know what others are going through out there. And I'm sure that just gives you so much satisfaction to be able to help others out there in their journeys. Tell us about a little bit about that, about people that you've met that have come to you for help, how it makes you feel, how it makes them feel on their journey.
I get goosebumps every time I think about this. My best friend in the world was my first client. She literally texted me her credit card and said, I'm in. When do we start? So she was my very first client. And I had been doing it for free for a long time. Like, I just felt like it's a great piece of information, but I know that in order to create a business, we do have to charge for our services. But the flip side of that is when she heard me speak and I started tapping on those pain points, she realized that she was struggling with sleep. She was struggling with confidence in herself. She struggled with, she could do really well Monday to Friday, but then the weekends would come and, that didn't seem to work. And then she felt like she was starting over every Monday. Women in their 40s that have struggled with yo-yo diets or feel like they can't lose the weight now, like it's almost too late as they approach menopause. These are the clientele that I'm working with. And what I get to do for them is instill a level of confidence they've never had. And I realized in the past, maybe year or so, that it wasn't willpower they were lacking, it's confidence. We as a society are kind of given this false sense of vision of what we are supposed to look like. The tall, slender, curvy woman where, this image has been beaten into our brains for, oh gosh, hundreds of years. And it's just not true because I'm 5'2". My legs are never going to be long. I'm never going to have a torso. I have a very short torso. I don't fit the mold. But I knew when I hit a certain weight, I felt good in my body. I felt comfortable in my clothes. I felt more energy than I had ever felt since, I don't know when. Now, I can't say high school because it wasn't then. It was probably before that. And I realized that it wasn't the willpower that I needed. It was confidence that I was going to hit my goal. I was going to feel really good about it. And I was never going to have to worry about regaining the weight again. So I shifted my perspective, and then I started working with women in a slightly different way. Because a lot of people, and I'm sure you've probably had this happen, as a trainer, they think, oh, I'm going to give them a really rigid exercise routine. I'm going to give them a meal plan that looks like a lot of chicken and broccoli. And then we're going to have to like beat you up 3 times a week in order for you to get the results. And that it might work, but it's not the only approach. So the approach I love to take is asking questions about what's getting them stuck. Where do they feel like they can't seem to overcome? Like maybe they get to a certain point, maybe they'll lose 10, 15 pounds pretty easily and then plateau and then start to slip back into old habits. So we take that and we take it apart piece by piece until we get to the foundation of the root of the cause, not just the weight loss. Losing weight on its own is kind of a simple mathematical equation. Calories in, calories out. You know, if we eat less and move more, weight loss typically happens. That doesn't take into account having a bad day. It doesn't take into account hormone imbalance. It doesn't take into account children moving out and going to college, or parents moving in, or that you had to work 2 jobs because the mortgage on your house went up, or any sort of life scenario. So what I help women do is understand that they can create their own mindset that helps them. And I use the AIM method. I've created this method to make it simple. So A stands for alignment. You align your goals with your actions. So everything you do is moving you closer to your goal. And it really doesn't matter what the goal is, but everything you're doing lines up with that end goal. The I stands for intention, thinking on purpose, taking action on purpose, living your life with purpose, and doing things that help you reach that goal with that purpose in mind. And the M stands for momentum. Every little thing, every little win you celebrate. It's so important to celebrate those wins. Sometimes, and when a new client comes to you, when they show up for that first day, like they're terrified. They might be really nervous. Maybe they're scared. Maybe they think, oh, I don't know if it's going to work this time. You're there to kind of like rally them on to help them celebrate like, hey, you showed up. That's a huge win. They don't always think about it that way. And I love to give them gratitude and just celebrate them showing up for themselves in a way they've maybe never done before. And I've had so many women break down on the first session because I have actually said, listen, we're not even going to talk about food. We're not going to talk about exercise. Like, do you get enough sleep? I really want to talk to them on a granular level because nobody does. The diet industry is not designed to help us live our lives. It's only designed to help us lose weight. Doesn't take into account you were running 30 minutes late and had a flat tire and your boss yelled at you and the kids got sick and you had to get them from school. There's nothing out for dinner and there are 16 loads of laundry piled up. That's the day I want everybody to be prepared for and not feel like they have to go to the pantry and eat their face off in order to survive it.
Let's talk a little bit about hormone imbalance. It's a big issue with women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. And there's not a lot of good answers out there. You know, you go to doctors, they want to put you on medication, or you don't even have the proper blood work and you just think your hormones are out of balance and you're trying to balance them yourself with different kinds of supplements. How do you go about helping women with these issues?
This is such an interesting topic too, because I'm still learning, but what I know so far is as humans, not even just women, men are affected too, but as our bodies age, our needs change. So as women transition from childbearing years to menopause, we're just going from being able to carry a child to no longer being able to carry a child. So when our bodies start to shift, the hormone levels change because we no longer need the fertility hormones at the level we had them in our 20s and 30s and maybe into our 40s. As that shifts, we think of hormones as like estrogen and testosterone, But cortisol, adrenaline, leptin, ghrelin, these are names that we're not so familiar with. Probably everybody's heard of cortisol because we all know that's the stress hormone. Adrenaline, that's the energy hormone. But we've also got dopamine, which is the reward hormone. Endorphins, those feel-good hormones we get when we work out or we get some movement. We've got serotonin and melatonin, which are the relaxation hormones. And when they're out of balance, we feel out of balance. It's kind of like walking around on high heels and one of the heels is broken. You're never going to feel like you're on stable ground. So when our cortisol is high, we tend to have high adrenaline. This puts our body in a state of fight or flight, and this actually creates the lack of digestion. So think about it this way. The day I described, you're running late, flat tire, kids are sick at school, dinner's not done, the laundry's piled up. Your adrenaline and cortisol are flowing through your veins like a freight train. Your dopamine, serotonin, melatonin, and other hormones are low. So you feel very stressed. Your body's in a state of fight or flight. This is the time when it tends to turn off digestion. So if you've eaten food and these hormone cocktails are coursing through your veins, your body doesn't know the difference between being stuck with a flat tire and a sick child or you being chased by a lion. So it turns off things like digestion and repair inside the body in order to send blood flow and energy to your extremities. This actually can cause digestive problems, skin problems, hair and nail loss. A lot of women notice as they age, their hair thins and falls out. And it's typically related to high stress levels and lack of sleep. So once we start to get our hormones in balance, then what women start to notice is the mood swings lessen a little bit. They start to sleep better. They actually start noticing maybe a little weight has come off. Maybe they feel a little bit better, less inflammation, less irritability. Maybe their partner is a little bit happier because they're not yelling at them all the time. So finding out what needs to be done is a little outside of my wheelhouse, but I have a coach friend of mine who's actually a functional nutritionist, and she can actually test the hormone levels. So we work together. I'm the essential oils side of it because I'm a strong believer in reducing the toxic load in your home can really help you when you're balancing your hormones. Things like household cleaners, laundry detergent, air fresheners, candles can be endocrine disruptors, and these can wreak havoc on our central nervous system. We don't even realize it. We're doing a spring cleaning workshop at the chiropractic office I work in just to help educate people about how you can use simple cleaners that don't create these problems inside of our bodies that we don't even know about. So there's easier ways than doing a pantry purge or, having to go through a bunch of different medications. We can balance them in a more holistic manner that feels more natural and the body is far more susceptible to, and it's a lot easier on you mentally, physically, and emotionally. It's at New Journey Chiropractic. It's March 25th at 10:30, if I can throw a shameless plug in there.
Of course, why not? The more people that come, the more people will have a healthy home.
Yeah. That was one of the reasons I got into essential oils too, is I wanted to be able to offer a cleaner option or maybe a treatment that didn't require medication all the time. So that was kind of when I started coaching. I'd known about essential oils for a long time, but I started using them pretty exclusively around the same time. And it's been a great transition to get rid of some of the toxic cleaners in my home. And, using simple things like vinegar and baking soda and salt, we've got everything we need in our homes, just like we have everything in our body to innately heal ourselves. It doesn't have to be complicated. So I try to help simplify all of those processes.
Yeah, there's so many potent things out there that are really over the top. And I think about all the pesticides out there on people's lawns that are just running out into the streets and the lakes and the waters, and our animals are walking in the grass, and, so many unnatural products out there being used that are just, we all try to stay healthy and we're just working against ourselves sometimes.
Absolutely. And if you think about your body, your skin is your largest organ. Everything that comes in contact with your skin is absorbed into your bloodstream. So the lotions we use, the soaps that we use, the cleaners that we use, we are taking that in. Not only are we breathing in, the fumes, but we're also taking it in topically, and it can cause liver damage, kidney damage, brain damage. It can even be as simple as just brain fog. That's how it might start out. And then it can actually process into loss of brain activity. So it's pretty amazing with just a little bit of research what you can find out.
Your essential oils, what company do you work through?
I use doTERRA essential oils, and I was introduced to them by a very dear friend of mine. They were actually customers of mine at my job. Their cousin is a holistic doctor in Tennessee. So I had the fortunate goodwill to be able to work with her and be trained by her. Her and her husband are both master herbalists. If anybody knows plant medicine, it's them. And she actually operates her practice using essential oils as the way they were designed to be used as holistic treatments. Now, medicine has its place for sure. If we're in a car accident or you break a leg, we need our medical staff to take care of us. We need medicine to help heal our wounds, start to put us back together. I like to use essential oils for a couple of different ways, especially around emotions. The oils can really do a lot for our emotions. For instance, the most common one people are familiar with is lavender. And we all know lavender is calming. We use it to sleep. It's used in a lot of synthetic scents also, but the best thing I love about doTERRA is they are constantly looking for the purest, unadulterated oils. Oils are volatile extracts from plants. So as the flowers are either steam distilled, cold pressed, maybe the trees are tapped for resin, then the oil is distilled down to its most potent version. So a couple of drops are all you need in order to get the best effect out of them. So for instance, a drop of lavender on the bottom of your feet in the evening as you're preparing to go to bed gets into your bloodstream in 20 seconds. So you can have a nice calm feeling without having any side effects from sleep medication. Doesn't interfere with your liver because it's not being filtered like a drug would be. And you get the side benefit of getting good restful sleep without having that morning after feeling from sleep medication.
I will have to try that tonight, not only on me, but on my dog.
Yes. And essential oils, which this is a very common, I'm not going to say it's a common myth. I'm just going to spread some truth. The essential oils that they sell at the store are not the same as the essential oils that we get through doTERRA. So even if you were to go to like a Whole Foods store, a lot of times the bottle will say on it, do not take internally. Whereas doTERRA actually has a supplement fact label on their bottles that they are safe to take internally. I put oil in my water. I happen to be a big fan of grapefruit oil. I like to put that in my water and diffuse it. It's a great appetite suppressant. It's also the oil of honoring your body. If you're struggling with body image, if you feel like maybe you look in the mirror and you don't love what you see, using an oil like grapefruit, inhaling the scent, and using it with positive affirmations really does go a long way around shifting your mindset. So I think that they're a powerful tool when we use them in the right ways.
And they smell really good too.
They smell great.
Let's talk a little bit about your book, Unpack Your Emotional Eating. I love that title.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about it and where we can get it.
Awesome. So sitting home while everybody was working from home, I thought to myself, what is the one thing I said I would always do if I had the time to do it? And I said it would be write a book. And I had created a worksheet around these 5 principles of emotional eating. And it really stemmed from my own realization that I was an emotional eater. And I feel like as human beings, we do tend to gather around food for celebrations, both happy and sad. If we get together with friends we haven't seen, we tend to go to dinner, or we celebrate for birthdays and holidays and the celebrations of life of people that we've lost. So food seems to be connected to emotion. What I was noticing was I was using food as a coping mechanism. And I'll tell you a personal story real quick that kind of led me down this path. It seemed like if I had a bad day, then my go-to would be Chinese takeout, Chips Ahoy cookies, and a bottle of red wine. And my bad day could have really been just a bad 5 minutes that I milked all day long in order to say, oh, I've had a bad day. I don't want to make dinner. So I'd call and order Chinese food on the way home. Go over to the Publix next door, get a bottle of red wine, get some cookies, eat the Chinese food, drink the wine, eat the cookies, watch Steel Magnolias, and have a nice little cry fest. And I noticed that I would just do it anytime I felt like I'd had a bad day. There was no criteria. But later on, I noticed that when I had decided that habit was no longer serving me, and I was starting to eliminate that as I was getting healthier and being more mindful about what I was thinking, because everything we think creates what we feel, and that drives what we do. So I still would catch myself late at night on the couch, mindlessly eating snacks, watching TV, and I was thinking it was me time. And I kind of used that as the premise for this book, is that why was I doing that? Well, it was the only time I felt like I was relaxing. I felt like it was the only way I could unwind from my day and get a little enjoyment. And I liked sitting on the couch in my comfy spot, and I would just eat. And I never connected that that was driving, it was being driven by emotion. And after a lot of coaching from my coach, journaling and soul searching, I realized it had stemmed from trauma that I had experienced 20 years ago, and that I had developed this coping mechanism of when I felt a little lonely, a little, not necessarily fear anymore. That was how it started. But now it was just kind of like releasing the overwhelm. I didn't know how to do it without cookies or chips or popcorn or ice cream. So the food filled a gap that I didn't even know existed. And once I started to unpack that, I was like, oh, this is something I'm feeling. And it comes from a time in my life when I had suffered severe trauma, and I no longer have to use food to cover it up. I'm still healing from the trauma, and it's something that'll probably never go away, but I don't eat about it anymore. So I wrote this book because I wanted others to know you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You've just developed coping mechanisms to protect you, and that our minds are constantly working to keep us safe. And food is a very easy, accessible point of entry for safety. So we have a tendency to use food as safety because it's readily available. Maybe your family has always rewarded you with food. Maybe food was the way that your family showed love. I come from a heritage of Italian and French and Irish. If there's not food, we're not family. It made a lot of sense as I was researching it. It's a very short book. It's a very short read. It's available on Amazon. I think it's like $1.99. You can search it by Unpack Your Emotional Eating.
Sounds like a good book that a lot of people would get a lot of useful information from. A lot of our emotional eating also comes from habit, what we've been doing throughout the years. As we all know, habits are sometimes nearly impossible to change unless we really are mindful about it. I was just listening to a meditation this morning about changing a bad habit, just picking one bad habit that you're not happy with in your life, thinking about replacing it with a good habit. And I'm not talking about, like taking Diet Coke out of your life and substituting it, with a healthier drink, just more about actions and being mindful about what you're doing when you're doing it. And instead, are you, first of all, really even thirsty? Is there a better way to go about this? Or am I just bored? Do I just need to be doing something else when I crave that Diet Pepsi in the afternoon? Not only little habits can be because of changes in the way we live our lives. Take a really hard look at that.
And that was where I thought the diet industry really left us wanting more, figuratively and literally, that, we were just told, oh, drink this shake for breakfast and lunch and then eat dinner. Well, if you've gone from eating a meal, a snack, a meal, a snack, a meal, a snack, down to drinking 2 drinks and eating 1 meal, your brain is going to bring up all sorts of things. And it feels terrible in our bodies because it's uncomfortable. And it drives us to quit because it feels unattainable. And that's where a lot of our habits have been ingrained in us for a long, long time. And we don't even realize it. Some of them stem back to childhood. You could probably remember being told, clean your plate. And we grow up knowing that wasting food is bad. Or maybe you grew up in a family that didn't know where your next meal was coming from. So you felt you had to eat everything available to you in that moment because there was fear there wouldn't be enough. Fear, overwhelm, and stress drive that probably more than any other emotion. And being able to unpack those and get some peace and have some calm in your life makes changing habits just a little bit easier.
So it sounds like your education is continuing, Stephanie. You haven't stopped learning, and that's a wonderful thing. The more we learn, the more that we can help others. Now you're getting involved in chiropractic care. That's quite amazing. Another natural, holistic way of helping to heal people and being exposed to that area is very interesting. How did you get involved in that?
So last year, obviously, we met through Fitness One. And when Fitness One had to close their doors, we all had to kind of find our new path. And so I took some time to really decide where was my passion driving me. I knew I wanted to serve people. I knew I wanted to be active in my community. And I thought, what better way than in a holistic setting where people were healing and getting well and learning the benefits of living a healthier lifestyle. And the gym was a great place for that, but I didn't find another gym that felt like Fitness One. So I'm scrolling Facebook and this ad keeps popping up for this chiropractor, and I called them and I spoke with I had to leave a message. And when I spoke with the front desk manager, we had this great connection. She's also a health coach. So her name was Maria. And the practice is owned by Dr. Jamie Freer and her husband, Blake Freer. So we went in and we've had a couple of conversations. And I told her, what my drive was, and from a coaching standpoint, what my goals were, and that I really wanted to be more active in a one-on-one way or in a face-to-face way in the community versus just being online. So through several interviews and conversations, we decided that we were a good fit, and I joined the practice in January. I've been a patient of chiropractic for years, and I know its benefits, and I understand how it helps. What I didn't know and what I've learned in the last 6 weeks is structural correction is actually a form of wellness at your cellular level. Dr. Jamie approaches chiropractic in a slightly different way. It's not just go in, get adjusted, go home. Go in, get adjusted, go home. She does what's considered structural correction with exercises, with regular visits, wellness plans. The office uses doTERRA, so I kind of knew I was in the right spot. I'd found people that knew what I knew. She's very intelligent around supplements, nutrition, clean products at home. So our visions really were aligned with our passion to help serve our community in a bigger way. So I know now, and I'm studying to be a certified chiropractic assistant, that I will get to help more people in my community, not only with healthy lifestyles, but helping them relieve pain, inflammation, get better sleep, feel better, and understanding that not only does chiropractic help align the spine, but it can boost your immune system. An adjustment can boost your immune system up to 200%. Everybody from infants to children, adults, even pregnancy, everybody can get chiropractic care. And we're a family practice. So I've actually seen her adjust babies that are hours old. And it's incredible. So it's just, and you're right. I don't think my education will ever stop. Now that I know this is what's kind of been my fuel, the learning process for me is exciting. I really enjoy getting to know new modalities, understanding how they benefit us, and as a community coming together and helping everybody. If they want to feel good, we'll help.
Hey, Stephanie. So, if anybody would like to reach out to you for health and fitness coaching, essential oils, chiropractic care, they can reach out to you. We will have in our show notes how to get a hold of Stephanie so that she can help you in your journey, no matter which direction you're going in. Also, I know, Stephanie, that you're going to be starting your very own podcast soon. What is the name of your podcast? Do you have that figured out yet?
I do. So I've been running my Facebook group for a long time, and it is called Hot Mess to Hot Mama because I feel like a lot of us out there have felt like a hot mess. And I want every woman to feel amazing in her skin, in her clothes, in her body, in her brain. So not in a way where you need to feel runway ready, but I want every woman to have the confidence to walk out of her house feeling like $1,000,000, even if you're in sweatpants. So it will be coming out soon, and it's called Hot Mess to Hot Mama.
All right, Stephanie. It's been wonderful talking to you. And I hope I know my listeners have enjoyed listening to you. You have a wealth of information to share. And we've only had this short time to share, but if people want to get in touch with you, please do, because Stephanie has a lot to give.
Well, thank you so much. And I can't wait to listen to all of your podcasts. I'm so excited, Angela.
Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Yes. Okay. We'll talk soon, Stephanie. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
All right.
This is Angela Grayson from the Loving Life Fitness Podcast to help others in their fitness journey. All possible.
It's time to wake up. Here we go.